Hi everyone, it's Desiree and I am here with Paper Rose, and today we are going to use some watercolor pens featuring the Christmas Bells 4x4 clear stamp set. Now there is a coordinating die that's also available, and it gives you a sentiment die cut as well within the die, but I will be using both the cutout for the bells and also the sentiment. But I thought this was a really pretty image. I'm first going to stamp my image. I am going to be using Canson XL watercolor paper, and I'm going to stamp this in VersaFine black onyx ink, and I will be heat setting this. If you're just starting out with watercolors and you really want to go into the images, I do suggest to heat emboss your image. It gives you that barrier so that your colors won't bleed around too much. Now I do like the bleeding all over the place. If it's a technical term. But for this one, I wanted the colors to stay where they should be staying. I will have a lot of more control when it comes to the watercolors, as I'm going to be using my Karen brush markers. But any watercolor brush marker will do, any watercolors will do. Okay, so use what you have. I'm just going to put a little bit of color down, and then I'm going to come in with my brush and spread that color out. That is exactly how all of this coloring will be happening. I do like the flow of the brush pens. I do like the fact that it can be controlled. You can also see that when I'm putting my brush into the water, I'm taking some of that water off my brush. I don't want to make this paper sopping wet. That's why also I don't have to tape it down, because I'm not adding a lot of water. I'm allowing the pigment to be on the watercolor paper. I am using 2 shades for each of the colors. So it'll be 2 shades of the green, 2 shades of the red for the berries, and then slightly different shades of red for the bow. But you can see how well that these this pigment just moves. I am going with one color at a time. I'm not coloring in, like with watercolor pencils. If you see me work with those before, I put all my colors down throughout the whole image, and then I come in with my water brush, my brush with water, and move all of those colors. Here you can see I'm doing one thing at a time. When I'm adding that second color, I'm waiting for that for the original color to dry first. If you put all of your colors down throughout your entire image, you do run the risk of the ink or the pigment staining the paper, and you might not be able to move it as well. So just something to keep in mind as you're using any type of brush pen. Go with one area at a time. You don't necessarily have to go with one petal. You can see that I'm doing all of this one color across the bow, but then I'm coming in to move that color to make sure that I'm blending it out and letting it fade out from where I want the darkest pigment to be. If I have too much pigment on my brush, I'm wiping that off in my towel. Just to get so I can get that variation of color to come through. Here I'm adding in my shade, my darker shade now, and just focusing in on that bottom to keep that dark color where I want that to be. If I've got too much of that dark color, I'll push it back down with a clean brush and water to pick up some of that area, so that I can get that highlight mark that I'm looking for. If I see any harsh lines, I'm smoothing them out with my brush and some water. So right now I have the basics of the colors. I have the baseline sitting on this. Now I'm going to come back in and add a little bit more dimension, adding either a darker color or adding more pigment in that color and just letting it do its work on the piece. I am grabbing that scary black, and that's what I used for the inside of the bell. I'm now coming in with a very dark brown on top of the red for the bow to help darken that shadow and also make the bow look a little bit different from the berries. So to get that variation of color so that our image will stand out. I'm adding just a touch of a light brown to our bells to add for that roundness of the image, but not too much, just a little bit, and then fading that out with the brush and water. And that is our image. We have die cut that, and I've also used the die to die cut 2 more panels because that will give me some dimension instead of using double-sided foam squares or double-sided tape, and this piece will be pretty solid. I do have a piece of black cardstock that this is going to sit on, and I'm going to place this on a piece of gold mirror cardstock. And we'll set this onto our standard A2 card base, which is 4 1/4 by 5 1/2. And I am allowing the white to be from the card base itself to be one of the frames. The joy is going to sit or finally rest in the upper right hand corner, and the bells are going to sit at an angle. And of course I drop it and throw it. Yep. And we'll just place that down. And I did use the same gold that I have as my first mat on the sentiment. I am going to pull in some glossy accents eventually, but first I'm going to add some white splatter because it's a Christmas card and I have to have splatter. But this is a light flurry. We did not bring in the snowstorm. Just a light little flurry. Then that's where I'm starting to think about the glossy accents. So a little tip when it comes to the glossy accents, you know, I've seen it so many times, is you should always make sure that your glossy accents are free and clear. So after you're done using it, and I'm keeping this in to show that, okay, this is what happens when we create. So I always keep pins on my craft table because glues, glossy accents, pearls, all that stuff, it clogs up. At least for me it does. When it comes to glossy accents, what will always save you, and it'll always save you when it comes to your glues and your drops and everything else, is to make sure you take it and pound it on your table so that it all settles back down into the bottle, and then burp it. So just squeeze on it so that the air can push whatever's left in the nozzle out. And then that won't clog up your nozzle, and it will be ready for you for next time. So just saying, yeah. But I did add it to the berries. I thought I added a nice little tiny touch. I hope you enjoyed today's project featuring the Christmas Bells 4x4 clear stamp set by Paper Rose. The products that I used will be listed down below. And if you have any questions, let those down in the comments, and I'm sure someone will get back to you as soon as we can. Make sure you subscribe, ring the bell, also hit that thumbs up. Hopefully if you ring the bell, you'll get notified when the next video is ready. Enjoy creating your art, and by all means, remember, always be creative, guys, and I will talk to you in the next one. Till then.